The Orville, Season 2, Episode 14. The season finale. Hopefully not the series finale. The
No,
Road Not Taken.
No, I think I
according to
read
Seinfeld,
somewhere that they're gonna pick it up again.
yeah.
Well, I hadn't heard anything official yet, so that's...
Well, Sideril just says on hiatus, so it should be good.
And there was a couple of fan site things that said that they're picking it back up. So I don't know how accurate that is, but hopefully.
Yeah, I just hadn't heard anything official, and I don't pay that much attention, and I figured it eventually would just I'd run into going, yeah, it's gonna get a third season. Awesome.
Or it could go the way of Family Guy. It gets canceled, fans are outraged, and they bring it back.
That's...
I mean, that is pretty common in a lot of
The unfortunate
shows.
thing is there's two models for that. There's the Family Guy model, and there's the Firefly model.
True.
Yeah.
It just stops. It's canceled. It's canned. And
They
then
at least
you get
made
it,
a movie
then you-
for
Then we'll get an
Firefly to
Orville
give
movie,
closure.
a few years later. But they already have gotten 2 seasons in, so
Yeah,
if they're
and
already
I mean,
ahead of, well, no, Firefly was like 20 something episodes anyway, so they're actually probably about the same in terms of how many they've made. But yeah,
although I mean, they're now under Disney management, aren't they?
I think so. I mean, the studio is the studio, but the one they're selling it to is Disney because they own the Fox station, the
Yeah.
Fox stuff.
Yeah.
And Disney is not known for letting something go if they see that it's going to make them money. So
Yeah, and given that this gives them, well,
basically,
you
a
say
Star
that,
Trek.
but they got rid of Last Man Standing, and then it came over on Fox, and it absolutely destroyed the ratings. it just destroyed the ratings on anything else going on. So, ABC is a Disney product. They had Last Man Standing, they canceled it. It went to Fox, and it killed. So that's not always true, and the Star Wars stuff hasn't really gone that well lately. There's been there's always fan backlash, but it's been a little more rough lately.
They just throw out the Star Wars stuff too soon.
It's just fatigue. It's fatigue and not and throwing out a lot of the old lore, and it's just it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would be very happy for them to have another season of Orville. But getting on to the episode itself, risking your life for a Twinkie.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you knew it was probably who it was probably. I mean, it wasn't a surprise
that was
when
kind of like...
it wasn't a surprise when when it was those two, when it was Malloy and the captain. It was just like, yeah, if two people are gonna run off on their own and they're not, they're both male and they're both, normally shaped.
And I mean, you could tell just by the way they were running and stuff, the physical characteristics. But
Yeah.
then I'm one of those people who analyze things like that, so maybe that's just me.
Yeah. Well, if you drill it down, there was only like a couple people. It could be only a few people. It could be. It couldn't be Bortus because that would look completely different. You might have been able to get like Lamar or Malloy, but you knew it was gonna be the captain. It could be he could be with Malloy or Lamar, but given his prior relationship, his long-standing friendship with Malloy, it was going to be Malloy.
Yeah.
Plus, he ran like Malloy.
I don't do exercise.
Yeah, that was a totally a Malloy run. That totally.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you can. It's a little detail in the way they did things, but it's always you can tell when stuff's gone down when you start, when boots are a priority to
Yeah.
what you're doing. Stuff's gone down because it's almost inevitable in any sort of apocalyptic or war-torn area.
Yeah.
You know, boots are huge.
It's so important.
And so, like, I seem to remember, stories. It's like, oh, he's got good boots. Get them, because getting supplies in a war situation is tough already. And if you have that guy's dead, just take the boots, But he's looking for stuff, and he finds the boots. He's like, oh yeah, but yeah, essentially fighting their way through and risking the Kalon to get a Twinkie. Admittedly, they could get other things.
You risked your life for a Twinkie? Hey, I wanted a Twinkie, okay?
You want half? Yeah.
Of course I want half.
Of course.
I gotta. So before we go any further, I gotta say, this episode had a lot of hints of Star Wars to it.
Yeah, especially the Rebel base.
Yeah.
That screamed like Yavin 4 sort of thing. And before we get, while I'm here, Alara.
I know.
I was so happy when I saw her. I was like,
I actually like literally squeed a little bit in public. In public, okay? I'm like, Alara! They're like, so, yeah, Alara. It's Alara. They're like, yeah, okay.
Who apparently
okay.
had some dealings with Lamar. And that didn't quite work out so well.
I'm so happy.
But also had the gravity treatment, so apparently she had suffered the same problems as her prime
it
counterpart.
makes sense.
Yeah. And if that was her genetic disposition, then yeah, it's not too surprising. And, but
considering that aside from the crew of the Orville and their the rest of it pretty much played out exactly as it did up until the point of the Kalon invasion.
Yeah.
Because the only difference really was that he wasn't in charge. So
well, there were two major differences.
Yeah,
that
he wasn't in charge, which meant that
Flynn didn't come on.
Flynn didn't come on because she wasn't needed,
and Malloy didn't come on.
And
because he was with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and therefore Isaac didn't turn on his.
Yeah. He didn't have that emotional connection to actually turn on his people and stop the invasion, so the invasion won, and boom.
Yeah.
That's kind of a scary thought when your love life can save or destroy an entire civilization.
Come on, if you don't bone me, the universe is doomed.
Pretty much.
That's a great pickup line.
I've seen the future. If we don't date and if we don't hook up, the world will come to an end. All life as we know it will be destroyed. Dude, lay off the crazy juice.
Well, and the
Yeah.
fact that like Mercer's reaction to like, because you were in charge of the Orville, that saved. He's like, I still wear a t-shirt when I go swimming or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I stopped wearing a t-shirt till I was 20. I mean, when I went swimming. Sorry.
Yeah, it was like, there's no way. There's no way that's me, because it was basically at this point, they'd Grayson had assembled roughly all the crew of the Orville onto
At
her
least the
ship.
ones pertinent to saving it.
Yeah, all the necessary Orville, aside from Bortus, but
Yeah.
all the main sort of bridge crew were all assembled. It's like, yeah.
But Borders died because he went back to Moklis with his family.
No, Bortus was... Clyden died.
Oh, Clyden died.
Yeah. Because remember when they get down
Oh, yeah.
there...
It's been like 2 weeks since I watched this, and I didn't take notes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was like an
He's
important.
like, no, I sent Clyden and Topa back to Moklis. He's like, but he's been out of touch for like 9 months, surviving on, rations.
And that gave me hope to survive. Yeah, they're dead. Hope gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was... I'll say this much. This episode felt like a TNG episode, like crazy.
It did.
This is like
This was all good things style right there.
Yeah, we have to destroy the ship in order to save it.
Yeah.
It,
And apparently, Kyle, apparently they have floating heads.
We knew this. Remember that happened during the invasion.
Did
yeah,
it?
I don't remember the
yeah.
floating. I know we had the weaponized heads, but I didn't remember the floating.
I
Yeah,
thought they did.
I just don't remember the floating. I definitely remember their heads turning into weapons, but because it was he ripped one of their heads off, which if it was Isaac ripped one of their heads off, and if he had just had like a floating head thing, that wouldn't have been a problem. It's like,
Well, I mean, it depends, because if you rip off a piece of equipment before
well, it wouldn't have
detaching
shut it down.
properly,
It would have gone, okay, well.
True.
But yeah, it could have been I just forgot about it, but I don't remember them having floating heads before. It was all still attached, but I could be wrong.
either way, it didn't surprise me. So
Yeah, it was very creepy. It's just like, I'm gonna. Whoop. Yep. Oh yeah, their heads can separate. Oh, fun.
lift and separate. What are you doing in your spare
no.
time?
But let's see. We covered that.
No, but when they went into the actual Orville and they said there's one life sign here, I automatically knew okay, that has to be Bortus.
Yeah.
No,
He's
no
the
one
only
else
one who
could
could
be.
have.
Yeah, well, there's only so many characters, you know.
It was either Bortus or Yaphet, you know? But
Well, we already saw Yaphet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we already saw
exactly.
Yaphet, so
So it had
there's
to be
not really
Bortus.
there's not really, it had to be a major character and a character that wasn't there.
Which the Yaphet thing through the little porthole reminded me of
Yeah,
the eye stalk thing in Star Wars.
yeah. When at Jabba's palace, it's just like,
Yeah.
and then shoots out and then sucks back in. It's like,
Well, admittedly, Seth MacFarlane is a big fan of Star Wars.
yeah, he's generally a big fan of sci-fi. It seems.
I think he just likes space.
Space.
Well, it is the final frontier.
Just like Spock's third ear.
Yeah.
He's got a right ear, a left ear, and a final frontier. Uh,
It's the puns, the punny.
no, never. I shall enjoy the puns, for they burn. Too much? Not enough?
Meh.
But yeah, apparently the mind wipe didn't take because Grayson is missing some protein or something.
And that reminds me, I was going to actually look that up, but I forgot to.
Okay.
Eh. It's technobabble, if you know.
Hey. Technobabble is my foreplay, okay?
Your
like
foreplay
I like
or your forte?
Yes and yes.
Oh no.
I still want to get that shirt that says "Talk nerdy to me."
Didn't you have like the causality loop or whatever it's called? It's like if she went back in time to give her the drugs, so she actually forgot, that means she didn't exist to go back in time to give her the drugs so she would forget.
Don't try too hard to understand time travel.
Okay,
It'll just make your eyes go cross.
Okay, just going to say there are 3 main theories of temporal mechanics as far as time travel in general goes. There's whatever is done has been done and you cannot change it because changing it would negate its existence and make it no longer happen.
There's
so
wiggle
that you
room
can't
about
change
what
it.
you don't know.
And then there's also the theory that whatever you do in the past changes the future and creates a new temporal timeline, a new timeline. So therefore, it doesn't matter what happens because you just created a new timeline.
Yeah.
So in that theory, she could have just basically negated her own timeline by fixing the old timeline.
Yeah, this was a little pocket loop of temporal stuff that happened and then was resolved and then deleted. It's like this happened, but only in so much that it happened sort of on a side loop. It happened and then she goes back to the past and stops it from fully happening and breaks the chain.
True. And since this was brought up in the show, you go back in time, you kill Hitler, stop World War, whatever, and it's like, but what do you do? Why is the 2 answers to the question, would you kill baby Hitler or not, either kill him or not, there's always a third choice, which is kidnap baby Hitler and raise him.
Well, that's something the Vlogbrothers came up with. Well, their fans came up with, like maybe a decade ago. It's like they were making the same point. It's like there's always not killing Hitler and there's killing Hitler, but then they came up with a third option, the evil baby orphanage, which was You would go back in time, you abduct evil babies, and you take them to an orphanage somewhere in Tibet or something, and you raise them to not, in modern day where they can't do any harm.
Yeah.
That was their solution to,
Yeah.
kill or not.
Interesting.
Though, to be honest, I'm more in the case of, well, if you, number one, he hasn't done anything yet, and number two, you're going to remove your own existence, so the whole thing collapses in on itself. You couldn't actually do it because the whole timeline would collapse in on itself because, yes, killing him would stop this, but it would also stop you from existing. So it's kind of pointless.
I think one of my...
I wouldn't mind that. I'm cool with not existing. Let's do it.
Yeah, but if you stop if in this timeline, in this sort of, temporal thing, the way the temporal mechanics worked was, if you have to exist in order to go back, it's not a branch off sort of thing, then you would be undoing your own existence, so you couldn't go back and kill Hitler, or you wouldn't know to kill Hitler because he would never have come to power. And so it's just like, whatever you do, there's a lot of problems with the temporal bits.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole theory behind the H.G. Wells' time machine. He couldn't actually go back and undo anything because whenever he tried to undo it, something else caused it to happen because it had to have happened for him to go back to undo it.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is a bit of a moot point because in that particular style of time travel mechanics, it's kind of pointless because you couldn't actually do it because it would undo it. They would undo the timeline, so the timeline protects itself. In one way or it already happened. It's predestined. It's already happened. Because you know about it, there's nothing you can do about it. Once you know something happened, you can't undo it.
It's called Schrodinger's paradox.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite.
I'm not sure that's Schrodinger's paradox. That was the cat. Wasn't it?
Yeah, Schrodinger's.
Well, that's with quantum mechanics and such. That's not really temporal. But yeah, you're stuck in a loop of, if he exists, then you know about him, then you can go back. But if you go back, he doesn't exist, and then the whole thing cancels itself and it runs around eating itself.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite time travel paradoxes is the bootstrap paradox.
That's everybody's favorite.
I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Beethoven.
There's another one that I don't know the name of, and it's not about traveling back in time. There's one thing that says it's like, actually, if time travel is real, it's actually impossible to travel into the future because the future does not exist yet.
I've heard that.
Well,
one.
you can you can travel into the future. There is a slightly you could see, because time travel is just traveling faster than 1 second per second. Okay, that's all time travel is if you can travel faster than 1 second per second into the future, and then,
Time zones
then
count.
all you have to do is go fast. Like if they had two watches, one on the shuttle and one on Earth, and they came back with different times because one had been going faster. It's
also, gravity plays a part in that.
Yeah, well, there's lots of things, but yeah, you started getting into relativistic stuff. Like, you get it up to high speed, you can actually sort of travel. For you, time passes more slowly. So you're actually traveling to the outside observer faster than 1 second per second. Like, if when you stop, you travel, and you measure it, you've traveled faster than 1 second per second. So anytime you're moving, you're actually traveling a little faster than 1 second per second into the future. And infinitesimally small, basically negligible. But if you're moving, you're traveling faster than 1 second per second. You have to be absolutely still.
Yeah.
In space, not moving, which is just.
I mean, like.
Well, it's all relative
and
to
the
trying to
Horizon
figure out
black
what's,
hole.
that's just a headache in and of itself. But
Oh.
yeah, any speed you're going, you're going a little. It doesn't become useful until you get really close to the speed of light. Once you get there, then time really slows down for you compared to how it's passing outside.
That black hole scene was amazing.
It was.
It was like, oh, it's so pretty.
And that hunk of junk could go past this, could escape the event horizon of a black hole.
Right?
That seems like that would be something, you'd have to specially design a craft for. But then again, if they warp time itself, they can warp it enough to get out of the.
It's like screw the Marianas Trench. We survived the black hole.
Right?
Yeah. You're not supposed to go inside the event horizon of a black hole and get out. I mean, you get spaghettified.
Can you say Andromeda?
But they were right in that, like you were saying earlier, that was how that generally would work. If you could sit inside the event horizon of a black hole, the light from your ship wouldn't escape.
Yeah,
if you could do that, if you could stably sit where they were sitting, and not be damaged by it, not be sucked in, just hold position.
Spaghettified.
Yeah.
My dream is to be the first human to die from a black hole.
I think you're a little late there. There are plenty of STDs that's happened to.
What? Never mind. This is a kid-friendly channel.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
But
we tried to make it kid-friendly.
Just because we sometimes have a kid on here does not make it kid-friendly.
I'm generally the youngest person here.
No, not when Jack's on.
True, but he's around you a lot, so I don't think he counts.
No, he's calling people wanker and tosser now.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think he counts as a kid.
He actually sassed, like, he used a logic-based reasoning to sass his way out of doing something.
I applaud this child. I applaud him very much.
Yes.
Let's see, what else for the Orville?
Okay, so at this point, they go to the rebel base. They get the protein they need. They see Yaphet. They see Alara. We get the awkward moment between Alara and Lamar, which happened for some reason. They didn't really have a thing in this timeline, but apparently without Finn and Mercer on the and Malloy on the crew, it happened.
I think it's Malloy is the important aspect of that one.
Yeah, it could have been a time when Malloy was distracting Lamar that instead Lamar was, he didn't
distracted by
have a running buddy. He didn't have a Paris to keep him busy, so he got involved with Alara. And that's what happened.
So who says that bad influences can't be a good thing?
Everybody.
They're wrong.
Yeah, and then we get the Kalon come down, which we get the reason why they don't nuke it from orbit, just to be sure, is that they want to gather information from the they don't usually nuke it from orbit because they want to make sure that they get the information from the people in there that will lead to catching more resistance bases. And so that was their excuse for why they didn't just blow it up from space.
It's still a better excuse than that Brexit joke that negated unit in the Doctor Who special.
True.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, it's not a terrible thing. I mean, it's not a.
Yeah.
It's not a. Oh, that's so unreasonable. It's like, no, the Kalon are mass produced, so you lose a member. It's annoying, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and as we learned with Isaac, their mind is set to a high thing, so it's not like they're lost forever.
Yeah, you can always just
Exactly.
build them another body and just pump
Yeah.
that old Kalon into that body and just say, "Oh, you're back now." And that's just
Yep.
how things work.
And they don't even have, like, as a generalization, they aren't really individuals. They're more like the Borg.
Yeah.
So the only reason Isaac became an individual in the proper timeline is because of his influence, his being influenced by
He got hewed.
Finn and the others. He learned how to be an individual.
Yeah.
He was Hugh from
Yeah.
Next Gen.
Yeah. That's what I was just saying. Yeah, he got hewed.
Yeah.
Which was actually one of the, when they were debating whether to send him back with a virus, to genocide the Borg. It was like, they sent him back, yes, but apparently, later on, Hugh causes some problems for them or something. I don't remember if that's extended, like, if it comes up in a later episode of the same thing, or like individuality sort of leaks and it starts causing problems inside the Borg. And so they turned out to just actually have sent a virus in a way, but it was more a virus of ideas. So,
Hey, ideas are contagious.
yeah, so they didn't actually kill the Borg, they just undermined their philosophy.
They didn't kill them, they corrupted them.
Yes, well, depending on your perspective.
It's corruption to the Borg.
Yeah. Let's see.
Doesn't matter if we find it corrupt. Although, I mean, certain ideas I would have to say probably pretty corrupt. Like, if they ended up with my brain, that'd be a scary thing. Those
Imagine
poor
if they
Borg.
ended up with mine.
Oh, those poor Borg. They'd end up committing
Like-
suicide just to get away from it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So conveniently from there, the Orville remained intact, but was on the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
That thing can take a beating.
It's like, well, I mean,
They've faced, like, phaser power and all that shit. But the thing is, it's accustomed to dealing with the vacuum of space. So being accustomed to having a smaller surface pressure than the interior versus having a higher surface tension, surface pressure on the exterior, that makes it more fragile, I guess you'd say, in water than it is in space.
Yeah.
well, they probably built it, given that it's an exploratory vessel, they probably built it like We want to visit the seas. Okay, well, they probably built it to be able to work in in any situation that they need to, you know. Um, it could have landed anywhere else, but it landed in the Marianas Trench.
Well, I mean,
It wasn't at the very bottom, though. They said it was at the bottom, but that
I
wasn't
guess
quite at
that
the
was
very
kind
bottom.
of lucky for them, because I mean, if it landed like on dry land,
The
The
Kalon would
Kalon
have
would have
destroyed it.
wiped it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Though if they could find the Orville, why couldn't I?
well,
They
I was
probably
like,
thought
well,
that, okay, it's, it's useless now. There's no point in going down and retrieving it.
yeah, the one survivor on there was like, hey, he's gonna be dead soon.
He's just going to die. Why expend extraneous energy for that?
Plus, maybe they can't exactly survive that pressure either.
That's possible.
Who knows?
So while they're headed back, Kelly and Mercer have their second date, as it were, in this timeline with spaghetti bolognese. According to this, and we find out exactly what he has been doing for the past 7 years, and apparently he was Ciscoing it up, and he was captain of the Epsilon outpost.
I think he was first officer or something like that.
No, he was captain of the Epsilon outpost.
Okay.
It's on Wikipedia.
Yeah, because that's never wrong.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't be wrong about that. That seems like a really
I'm
stupid thing that they would be wrong about. He was nearly there to getting his own ship, but he was still captain of Epsilon Post. But if from what he says, he was on the cusp. The Kalon War came, and there went his chance to be a captain of a ship.
A year away, yeah, totally.
I would have succeeded too if it weren't for you meddlesome teens and your little dog.
You meddling Kalon. We figured out the whole. At this point, Lamar figures out the whole Kalon are connected. By their sort of,
hive mind
thingamabob. They get to the Orville. They find Bortus. Talked about that.
They have to go into the hive mind in order to find Isaac to get the information.
Yeah. And they had to sort of push Mercer into the chair. It's like, no, you are the captain. It's like,
Dex may be having trouble.
am I?
Well, I'm looking at the live. We heard a yeah, I'm.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
was a long time ago.
Something.
Oh.
And it only just now picked up.
Dude.
Damn.
Yeah. Oh, it seems to be working now.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just my router's dying, I think.
You murderer.
What was I gonna say? Fetch. Anyway, So they do all that, and they basically destroy they said, well, they destroy the ship in order to save the timeline, and it ends up working out. So
Ooh.
that's basically the Orville in a nutshell at the end. It was... And everything went back to normal.
And I kind of want to see like a deleted scene where like somehow she accidentally dropped the vial, the medicine stuff. So she just walks up to her and bitch slaps her and say, "Go on that second date." Just for a deleted scene.
Don't know if that would happen, but
No.
Yep. But they ended it on a way you could, you can continue from it. It's there's nothing really there. Oh, the other thing that was while they're the destruction of the Orville by means of ramping up the core too high, and then all that, in the pursuit of the time travel bit. Basically, they said, what was it? Mercer makes a marriage proposal to Grayson. At that moment, it's like, if nothing works, you want to get married? Okay. It's like, yeah, but Malloy will probably come with us. Oh, don't start that. Oh. Anyway, any final thoughts on this?
Let me think.
I do love that relationship between that bromance between Malloy and Mercer.
All hail the Twinkie.
It's kind of like Sean and Gus in space.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. This has got one of those. This series has so those just sort of iconic things that you could assemble in front of a fan, and they go, "Oh, that's Orville."
Mm-hmm.
Jar of pickles, a Twinkie.
Although Twinkie, you also get Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And Disneyland.
An old iPhone, a Twinkie, a jar of pickles. You just pick out little things like that. It's like, that's the Orville. That doesn't make any sense. It does if you've seen the show.
I think the jar of pickles is the most iconic, though.
Yeah.
And a stack of cigarettes. With Bortus and Clyde. No Bortus and Clyde on it. Like...
And Jello.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh
Jelly,
God, no! No! Oh God! I just forgot.
Lime green Jello.
Oh, God, that scene.
And there's even and less worse than that, but less worse than that. Not as bad as that. The whole time that they fed Yaphet to Bortus.
Yes.
I can feel it, but I can't really tell where it's at. And Bortus has got an upset stomach. It's like, how do you have an upset stomach? You have a stomach of steel. What are you... Malloy, Lamar.
It's like,
you don't
all
feed
right,
one
open
crew
your
member
mouth.
to another.
Oh, open your mouth. Why? Well, I got only a couple of choices to reach in and get it back.
It'd be faster and cleaner if I do it. And there's only two ways to get in there. One going one way, or it's either the mouth or somewhere else.
Although, I mean, considering Bortus's sexuality, I don't know if he'd mind.
We don't even know. I mean, they're males. But we don't even know what that looks like.
True.
What does Mocklin junk look like? I mean, we have generally males and females, but we don't know what Mocklin junk looks like. Especially given that they can make eggs. They lay eggs. We don't know what's down there.
Why don't we leave that imagination to the people over at Bad Dragon?
You go ahead and suggest that. Suggest the Mocklin cock.
In other words, let's not talk about dicks.
Why? I mean, what did Dick ever do to you?
What do you got against people named Richard?
Right? Where are you, Richard? I cannot find you now. I want to talk to Richard. Richard!
Yeah, I feel sorry for anybody that is named, like, Richard Dixon.
My sister asked, how do you get Dick from Richard? And I said, well, maybe you should buy him dinner first.
Probably Rich and then Rick and then
yeah, that's how it came about. It was
if I'm being serious about it.
Rich and Rick. So that's where you get Mitch and Dick, because rhyming thing. That's also where Peggy comes from Margaret.
No, Dick is short for Richard, just so people can make that joke.
Well, if you want to tell Richard his dick is short, that's up to you.
And moving on.